Legendary musician Babsy Mlangeni is being honoured at the Soweto Theatre this weekend. The Legends tribute concert will pay homage to his contribution to music during the country's darkest times. Vocalists such as Langa, Mavuso and Temba are featured. Mlangeni and the artistic director of the theatre, Ngcobo, joins us in the studio this morning. What a delight to have both of you here. I feel absolutely honoured. James, we've spoken before. Yes. So I will just fuss and fangirl a little bit about the fact that we've got Babsy Mlangeni, an icon in our studios. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And as I was saying, without giving away your age, maybe I should give away your age because it's something to brag about, Bram Mlangeni. 80 years old in February of 2023 and going stronger than most people half your age. What is your secret?
Well, from a very early age, my mother taught me that what is important is to respect yourself. And you must eat the right food and stop doing things that you're not supposed to do. And no smoking, no drinking, and all those things. So I did some of them, but then somewhere along the line, I gave them up.
And here you are.
That's right.
With your very own tribute concert, long overdue, James, I'm sure. What's it been like putting this show together?
Oh, you know, it's been so beautiful, Marcella. We've been spending time with Babsy, and he's got such a huge catalogue of music. And one of the things that we struggled with was what songs must go into. You listen to one and you think, oh, this one I love, and you know. But I was so blessed to work with Mavuso, who's got a very strong relationship. Babsy really is mentored Mavuso, and he's known him since he was young. So Mavuso and Ngcobo, and we're working and in consultation with Babsy to say this is where we're at. So mine was to create a production. So, and give it a production value, and so that we're not just doing the music. You know, I got to interview his firstborn, Siwe, and a couple of other people that have known him for years, and I put together all these testimonials of these people that I then went and sat in the studio and graded them, and we put them in the production, and they just like an encyclopedia of his time and some beautiful animation. And we've got amazing singers, Temba singing, we've got Langa, Mavuso, and a group called Complete that used to work a lot with Yuma Segela. It's an a cappella group, and they just are killing Babsy's songs.
Now, Babsy, the musical director for the show is Sipho Hotsticks Mabuza, also a famous son of Soweto. You were born in Orlando West, I believe, in 1943. What was it like working with Sipho on this project? And were there certain things that you wanted to leave in and they wanted to cut out?
Now, well, to come to that point, I've been with Sipho for quite a long time.
Yeah.
From our when we were still in the 60s and upwards. So when I started knowing Sipho when he was still in his substandard, you know, because we were singing in schools, trying to educate school kids about the disability as a whole. Because, you know, people just don't understand how do we manage things, because some of them think that a disabled person can't achieve anything. But I've proved them wrong.
Absolutely, and in such a magnificent way. James shared with me a story a little earlier that in your speech yesterday, surrounded by your family, you said, I'm paraphrasing, but you said you can't understand why everybody's making such a big deal about load shedding because you've been in the dark for more than 70 years. Has a good sense of humour, stood you in good stead in dealing with these challenges and not letting it hold you back?
Yes, I mean, I've been blind at 3, you know.
Wow.
So my whole life I've been in the dark. I was in the load shedding. So, I mean, I'm used to it.
Yeah.
And sometimes they even, I always tell them that I've got the 6th sense. which you guys don't have. So the sixth sense is a sense of direction. I can direct you from Soweto to town. So the rest of my life I was in Soweto, so I know all the corners of Soweto.
I'm sure you do. How do you think that fueled your creative side? I mean, I believe you just brought out a new single the other day that you produced with famous Kwaito producer Joe Nina.
Yes.
What has having one of, as you said, you've got an extra sense. Other people would say a sense has been taken away from you. But how has that fueled your creative side?
You know, the problem that we had in the old order, disabled people didn't have a lot of job opportunities. So they'd be given jobs like basketry, mat weaving, women who do jerseys and socks and all that. I'm talking about blind people. So when I was not interested in that. So I decided, let me try and do this, because there was these two guys from America, that is Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder.
Oh, I might have heard of them.
Yeah. So I said to myself, if these two guys can make it, why can't I?
Absolutely.
So then that's where everything started.
James, you have called Babsy a true village crier who worked wonders for the South African songbook. And I love that analogy so much, because the village criers were the people who, back in the day, told people the news of what was happening in their village, in the villages next door, what was happening in their countries. It's a beautiful way of looking at his body of work.
Yeah, no, thanks. I mean, Marcel, I'll tell you, for me, one of the most amazing things about Babsy is that during the madness of the era that we come from, during the anarchy of the time, he writes a what-if story. He writes these amazing songs of hope, songs that just oozed a sense of positivity, and love songs. I mean, one of his greatest hits is a love song called Sala Emma. When he sang it, we had a surprise for an audience. They didn't know that towards the end of the show he's going to come on stage and sing. And I was standing there, and goosebumps, and people were singing word for word. And afterwards, people were saying, James, I'm so moved. And I said, they said, my grandmother used to make dough listening to Babsy. And somebody said, my grandfather would be cutting grass and would bring out a turntable. And he said, as the music was being sung by the guys, one guy said a beautiful thing to me. He said, I could smell Sunday lunch throughout the show.
Oh, wow.
You know, and it's just like, so how music is so interwoven with our memories. All of us, we remember people that we call grandmother, grandfather, through song.
And also interwoven, I mean, going by the conversation I just had earlier with the doctor about that sense of community. Yes, we've come out of those deepest, darkest times, and we've got different challenges now. But a sense of community is still important, Babs, don't you believe?
Yes, it is. You know, just to talk about the era of apartheid, it was very difficult to you must be sure that your lyrics are not going to offend.
Indeed, and what languages as well.
Yes. So there's a song that they did yesterday, Umsindisi. I wrote that song in 1976 when things were really tough, when the Soweto uprising. So I wrote that song and I released it, but guess what? It was scratched. Just because I said, so it was scratched. A lot of my songs, once you talk about anything that makes them to feel uncomfortable, they'll scratch it. We recorded a song as a group, as the All-Rounders. The title was Get Ready. It was scratched. We asked them, but there are no lyrics here. They said, no, the title is
Get ready for what?
Yeah, get ready for what? So there was a time when we were not even allowed to perform with a white group in the same stage.
What a time for the creative community, because you were almost in the front line of the battle in a certain way, weren't you?
Yes. So, I mean, as it is, I'm sitting here, I feel very proud that in my journey, I happened to inspire a lot of disabled musicians.
And able-bodied musicians as well?
Yes, I mean, just to name a few, I mean, I inspired Steve Kekane.
Absolutely.
Lazarus Khahudi and William Paul and others. And then this so-called able-bodied people, I inspired Mparanyana, Kore Moraba, Pet Shange, Soul Brothers. The list is long.
The list is long, and that's in the, those are the musicians, but in the different parts of the arts, just us ordinary people, you gave people the backdrop, the soundtrack of their lives with their families and in their communities in the time when they needed it most. And unfortunately, we've run out of time. We could talk for hours, James, but if people want to find out more, are there still tickets available for this afternoon show?
Yes, yeah. I was calling now the marketing department. It's just about to be fully booked.
Oh.
But people must get onto our website. We're all on our social media platforms, and get these tickets. And you will also see some of the finest young singers singing Babsy's songs. And when we called them, they just said, "I feel so honored that I've been asked to."
And they can do it while Babsy is still with us. Long may these music live on, and indeed your legacy. Thank you so much for your time. The Managing Director at the Soweto Theatre, James Ngcobo, always great having you here. And of course, the legend himself, Babsy Mlangeni, in studio with us.
No, I really appreciate to be here. Very, very, very happy, and I appreciate to be here with you guys.
Thank you so much, and enjoy all the flowers that come your way later on today. You really do deserve it.
Sometimes I just pull a joke and say, how can you give a blind person flowers?
But you can smell it. You can smell it. Thank you so much, Babsy Mlangeni in the studio. What a treat to have them here with us.